PJ, hi. Pleased to meet you.
Hi there, Jeff. Yeah, it's great to chat to you.
Hey,
Thanks for the invite.
yeah, you're in South Africa?
Yes, I am. Yeah, currently enjoying a nice summer day. It's a good 30 degrees Celsius outside.
That sounds really nice. I mean, actually, today we've got the sun out, which is kind of a blessing. We kind of treasure these moments. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite good. Um, I was just looking at your website. First of all, you're director of technical diving at RAID, South Africa.
Yeah, for RAID South Africa. I do some advisory work for RAID International, and I'm a tech examiner. So I'm involved with RAID Southern Africa as well as RAID International.
Okay. As I say, I was looking at your website and lovely image of this shark, and the words, "There's an explorer inside of you bursting to come out and discover new things." I mean, that's a great strapline. That's fantastic. Does that draw many people in?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, as humans, inherently, we all have some kind of explorer in us, and some people more than others, but certainly we all want to discover more, and whether it's about ourselves or about other people or about new things or new places. Um, and I would like to encourage divers to explore, certainly in the underwater realm. Um, we have so much still to see underwater. So whether you're a beginner diver or someone with decades of experience, there's something new out there for everybody.
Yeah, you just broke up a little bit there, but we got the gist of what you were saying. So that's that's fine. What kind of people generally actually come and contact you?
Usually it's certified divers who are looking at expanding their horizons, trying something new, or just gaining some more experience, maybe trying side mount diving, or maybe they're interested in getting into technical diving at the 40-meter range, extending the dive time, guys that are interested in rebreathers. So certainly from a training perspective, I'm mostly dealing with divers that are certified and really just want to go somewhere new, try something different.
Yeah. So what exactly is technical diving?
Well, good question. But in a nutshell, it's really just going beyond what you've been taught as an open water diver. Um, there is nothing wrong with going beyond the decompression limits or going to a deeper depth if you trained. You know, as technical divers, we're still recreational divers. We're still out there to have a good time, but we are just going beyond what the typical entry level diver is told are the limits. Um, Obviously, dealing with um, overhead environments, whether they are a cave overhead environment or dealing with the overhead environment, which is the glass ceiling of decompression. Um, Technical diving is about being able to be self-reliant in any diving environment that has some sort of overhead limitation.
So what do you enjoy about technical diving? What aspect of it actually draws you into it?
Yeah, it's the explorer bit. You know, it's going somewhere where possibly no one's been before, or if someone has been there, maybe only a handful of people have been there. My personal passion, if I could choose one type of diving to do every single day, it would definitely be cave diving. That's my own personal passion. Um, but I guess I'm drawn to just the exploring aspect. Um, yeah, trying to find something that hasn't been seen before is probably deeply rooted within me.
So within the cave diving, are you exploring at the moment? Are you exploring passageways, cave systems that have not been looked into before?
There are very few caves in South Africa, unfortunately. We do have some caves which are restricted. We are trying our utmost to gain access to them. But further afield within Africa, there are some caves that we are looking at mapping. We know for certain that people haven't been in there before. We don't know how deep they are. Sometimes we have access to a couple of pools. There may or may not be tunnels there, or certainly if there may be short tunnels. And if it weren't for COVID, like everyone is unfortunately in this situation, we would have had a good section of cave in Tanzania mapped out right now. But unfortunately, it's going to have to wait until travel restrictions are lifted and it's easier for us to assemble the team and get everyone together to get out there.
Yeah, for sure. COVID is just making life so difficult right now.
Oh, yeah. And if it's not for the actual COVID itself, COVID fatigue is a very real thing. Just the fact that we have to talk about it all the time, is quite stressful in itself.
Yeah. With exploring cave systems and things, do you actually do the research yourself, in finding where the possibilities are, or are you a part of a team?
It's something that is very difficult to do by yourself. There's so many aspects, and I think from a geological point of view, we have to get some sort of scientists involved, because there's no point, assembling a team together and all traipsing off into the jungle in Africa and there's nothing there. So we do rely on feedback from scientists and geophysicists and geologists, and also safety. From a safety point of view, we need to know that the ground, as soon as we go in the water, isn't going to just collapse on top of us. There definitely has to be a lot more involved than just a diver going underwater and seeing how far they can swim through some wet rocks. The aim has to be scientific. It's as much as from a diver's perspective, I'd like to see something brand new and be somewhere someone hasn't been before. But yeah, there's so many aspects of exploration that you need to engage with. And some of the caves need rappelling work. You need to get down there, and that's also not always easy. You need to have some sort of mountaineering experience, which not everybody has. So it's you rely on some of those guys to help just getting set up and getting down there.
How are most of these caves formed? How far away from you, or are you from the sea, for example?
Well, I am in Johannesburg. I'm 600 kilometers from the sea, but the caves that we're finding up in sort of East Africa are definitely formed by seawater. There are connections between freshwater and seawater there, and everything is still very new. As I say, we should have had a team up there in December of last year, and obviously that didn't happen. So we're holding thumbs that in December this year we'll have more answers and see what we can find.
Oh well, good luck with that.
At the moment we're relying on locals and the stories that they tell, and so it's all exciting, something to look forward to, if nothing else.
Well, yeah, let's hope there are other things as well, but that sounds nice. And I believe you're going to be contributing to Scubaverse in a bit more of a major way.
I've started submitting a couple of articles, and I think showcasing some of what South Africa has to offer the average diver, as well as the advanced diver, the technical diver. There's so many things that people hear about which are sort of widely known. For example, Aliwal Shoal is something I talk about, but around Aliwal Shoal there's so much more to explore. There's so many other dive sites in that area that don't get the recognition that they deserve. I'll be doing some diving on our sort of what we call the Wild Coast later this year, and we're looking at some new wrecks. There's some possibility for some new wrecks that have to be that are going to be discovered or are discovered, and we need to find out what's down there. And those potentially could become other dive sites that tourists could come and dive, and even our local community. If there's a new wreck that hasn't been dived before, then it gives them another dive site that they can enjoy. So I'll be contributing about some of those experiences and some of those finds as we go along.
Fantastic. I look forward to seeing that. So will that be article or video or both?
Well, so far it's only article, but if I need to do video, then I'm happy to help wherever I can.
Video is always nice. It makes it a little bit more real somehow.
Yeah, well, one of the things that about diving was photography, and when I started doing a lot more technical training, I didn't get the opportunity to spend a lot of time taking photographs underwater or video. And it was in fact 2 weeks ago that I dusted the cobwebs off my big camera system, and it hasn't been underwater in a couple of years, and I've started playing around with that. And my goal for this year was to start doing some photogrammetry work on our reefs and wrecks in South Africa, so that we can see, we can show people in 3D what some of our diving experiences are like, much like I see in Europe.
That photogrammetry, well, there's various softwares out there, but to me that is just so clever, and the results are fantastic.
It's really clever. I mean, sometimes it seems beyond me. I mean, it's something that's always interested me, but I've been really nervous to get going, and I decided, well, you know what, actually, unless you take that first step and try something, you don't know whether you can do it or not, or whether you have the capabilities to get it done. So I'm going to give it a go and see where it takes me.
Yeah, very exciting. I haven't done it underwater, but I just tried it here in the kitchen, around the kitchen table and stuff, and then COVID came. But wow, it's just, I can't wait to try it for real, as it were.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal what you can do with the technology and with the software. Some of the projects I'm involved in, where they are using it, from a scientific point of view, and you can get onto a project and you can walk around a site doing a dry briefing, and you can get an idea of exactly what needs to be done, or where you need to be positioned, or an artifact that may need to be lifted to the surface. So you can stand over it and get a clear understanding of what it is before you even get underwater. It really is incredible.
Yeah, nice. The wrecks that you may be looking at next, are they historic or are they more modern wrecks?
It seems that they are more historic. There is one particular wreck that we think was sunk around the 40s, so around 1940, maybe 1935, in that period. But some of the other wrecks that we're looking at in South Africa seem to be, some of the artifacts that have been brought to the surface seem to be a bit older, upwards of 100 years. So until we get down there, we don't really know. All we know is that there's evidence that something's there, but yeah, until you have physical eyes on it, or some sort of video. Unfortunately, we don't have the monetary capabilities to go and send down sonars and get side scans and that, but we just have to get down there and have a look with our own eyes and a couple of cameras and bimble around at the bottom of the ocean and see what comes up.
So I'm guessing from what you're saying, these are quite deep. You're going to need rebreathers and such like.
Yeah, the wrecks that we're looking at are between 50 to 80 meters. So definitely rebreather dives. I mean, you would need the flexibility of a rebreather just in terms of gas supply, and you need to prepare for an 80-meter dive. Maybe the water's only 65 or 70 meters, but at least if we're at 80 meters, we have the abilities.
It's a bit of a different setup to what we have here, mostly in the UK. Is a lot of our wrecks and historic wrecks, particularly, are quite shallow, so they're well within the range of scuba. But one of the issues we have, of course, is the shifting sands. So a wreck could be totally hidden for 10, 20, 30 years, and then just one day, sand's gone, and there's a wreck, and all the cannon and all the stuff that goes with it. And within 2 days, it's gone again.
It'd be frustrating. You tell all your mates about this amazing wreck that you found, and then it's gone, and they think that you not being quite honest.
It's absolutely true. And I mean, one of the frozen up again. You're back again, I think. Yes, you are. Good. Well, one of the ways of finding about wrecks occasionally is the fact, historically, you can look back and learn that people in local villages have been picking up artifacts or gold coins or whatever after storms. And it's only then that you think, okay, so where's that wreck gone? And you go and look and it's not there. And then somebody says one day, we saw that wreck, all the sand had gone.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I think, often when we're looking for wrecks, we rely on a fisherman. It's amazing what the fishermen know about what's out there that hasn't really been communicated to the diving industry. Sometimes the fishermen give you marks, and sometimes it's just a reef, but it's a reef that's never been dived before. Or that blimp that they see on the fish finder is actually a piece of old metal, and that's waiting to be discovered.
Yes, I can't count the times I've dived on a bit of old metal. It's that's all it is. With technical diving, are there any new technical advancements, innovations that may be coming up in the future?
Well, I think that fundamentally the principles have remained the same. There have been, I think from a safety point of view and an education point of view, there's been some development with the view of making technical diving safer and more accessible to people. Certainly what I have seen in recent times is the development in rebreathers seems to have accelerated. There seems to be a lot more focus on rebreather lately than there ever has been before. I'm certainly seeing a lot more rebreather divers on boats. Last week, I did a presentation at a dive school that just said, look, we're seeing rebreather divers more often, and if something had to go wrong, how do we deal with it? So it was the first workshop that I've done of that nature, but it was a really interesting exercise because it exposed their dive team, their dive masters and their instructors to rebreather diving, and it gave them an understanding of if something had to go wrong with one of their divers while they're leading a dive, how do I get that guy to the surface? What do I look out for if something is going wrong with a guy? How do I know that this rebreather diver is having a problem? And it was an eye-opener for them, and certainly now the first of many presentations of the type that I'm going to do, because as soon as word got out that I'd done that presentation, I'd received numerous requests from other dive schools to say, listen, please come and do the same thing for us, because we're also finding, if not some of their own divers are getting into rebreather diving, but they are, when they're traveling, they are seeing divers on rebreathers. And rebreather safety or diver safety in general is important. And if you don't know how to rescue somebody on a rebreather, their chances of survival are just diminished.
Yeah, you do see. I don't use rebreathers myself, but I am aware of a lot of brands appearing on the marketplace of what I would call consumer rebreathers, rather than more technical. They're always out, they're advertised as being perfectly safe, etc., etc. I assume they are. One doesn't hear, at least I don't, of many accidents or deaths over the recent years.
Without knowing the stats officially, from just a sentiment point of view, and what's out there, what I've heard, from my experience, there has been a decline. But one death is too many. So whatever we can do to avoid the risk of that one person, I do feel that rebreather manufacturers have come a long way, and I do feel like the actual hardware is a lot more reliable than it used to be. People are doing things on rebreathers that we didn't think were possible 20 years ago. And the fact that there are so many more rebreather divers in the water, and the fact that there are not as many rebreather incidents as you think, means that somewhere along the line we've got to be doing something right, and it's got to be becoming safer. Even if one person was dying a year and that number hasn't changed, but the fact remains that there are more rebreather divers now than there were 10 years ago. So just in numbers, just simple maths, you have to believe that it's getting safer.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Well, one used to, I don't know, it felt regular that one would hear about a rebreather death. But as I say, I haven't heard of one now for a long time. Do you get many people joining your courses that suddenly decide this isn't for them and just say, yeah, thanks anyway?
Definitely. It's an important part of my job as an instructor to counsel and to mentor divers that come along my way, because if someone is not ready, then it needs to be an open discussion. And rather than them getting themselves in a position where they end up hurting themselves, I would prefer that we have that hard discussion one day and say, right, are you really ready for this? And to be quite honest, most of the time it comes from them. I think they get to a point where they say, actually, I'm not ready. Let me either come and go away and do some work and come back and we can revisit the certification, or they just turn around and say, it's actually not for me. And it's best for everyone when that happens, because again, safety is number one priority.
Yeah, for sure. Was this always something you wanted to do from an early stage in life, or did it suddenly come on you? I mean, how did you get into all this?
Yeah, it's funny. I've always been a teacher in some way. I even remember when I was at school doing things like teaching guitar. I may not have been the best guitarist, but I knew enough to give a beginner guy, some guidance and teach them how to get going. And as soon as I started diving, I started as a commercial diver and progressed into diving instruction. But it seems to always draw me in, anything where there's instruction involved or education involved. I just really enjoy it. I enjoy seeing other people develop. I enjoy seeing them overcome fears. I get to see that a lot with technical training, especially with cave, where people are nervous and apprehensive in the beginning, and then you see how they develop over the period of the course, and they leave at the end of the course, and they're just such better divers and more confident. It builds confidence in their just general everyday life. So yeah, I don't know if I think that I was told I couldn't dive anymore, I'd end up being involved in another industry, and I can guarantee that I would end up teaching in that industry. It's just the natural way that I'm wired, I think.
That's kind of nice. Do you travel at all to teach, or do you stay in your base?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure whether my wife enjoys it or not, but I do spend probably half of the year away. I've done teaching in the States. I've taught in Malta. I've taught in Italy, a couple of countries around the world. So in the East Coast, Zanzibar. I do like to get out there and travel as much as I can and see the world.
Yeah, lovely. You enjoy the traveling? Well, not so much now, of course, with COVID and everything.
It's been really difficult. I think 2019, if I remember correctly, I spent 226 days away from home, overseas. I think I went to 9 different countries in 2019. 2020, there was all these big plans and a whole host of trips and projects and courses all over the world, but unfortunately, that was all put to bed. Well, at least for now. Hopefully things will turn. Hopefully we're starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think so. It, mind you, that everything has changed. COVID has brought new attitudes to traveling and everything else we do, sports, the environment, the whole works. It's been quite an interesting time, really.
It has, and I was in fact talking to some friends the other day, and we were wondering how long, despite maybe COVID will be something in the past, and maybe it'll be thanks to vaccines, or who knows how we'll get over it. But how long will some of the things that we've become so accustomed to now continue? And things like sanitizing and face masks, and without a doubt, there's been a decline in the number of just general basic flu, and the common cold is virtually gone. And is that due to people not being in contact with each other, or is it due to us sanitizing all the time? So that's going to be interesting. There's some things that I think are going to stick around for a while. It's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds.
Yeah, this is the first winter I can remember where I haven't had a bad cold. You're quite right. Yeah. But Jay, it's been lovely talking to you. Thanks for taking the time. I look forward to seeing your articles. Have we got a sort of time scale on that, or is it just when it happens?
There's the launch of the African diving website.
Yep.
So I think it may tie in with that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Lovely. Brilliant. Well, good luck with the future, and thanks again.
Jeff, thanks very much for chatting to me. I appreciate your time as well.
Cheers now. Bye for now.
Ciao. Bye.